A Build Hatch developed production.
Hello, I'm Aaron Kyle and welcome to another episode of Build Hatch. On this week's episode of Build Hatch, I got to sit down with Charbel from Tile Touch in Sydney. Tile Touch is one of Australia's up-and-coming independent and leading tile suppliers right around the country. Charbel and his team are kicking some big goals in the tile space right now. And what was really interesting from our chat is, like always, Charbel had a really interesting background in the army. And that's not surprising because that taught him some really good principles like discipline and respect in business. I really enjoyed this week's chat with Charbel and particularly loved hearing about what Australians are doing right now in the tile space. So let's get into it. Charbel from Tile Touch, welcome to Build Hatch.
Thanks, mate. It's good to be here.
Now, we're recording this in Sydney, and I guess before we go back in time, can you tell our guests about Tile Touch?
Tile Touch, we were established a couple of years ago now in 2019. We started with the view to, kind of sell tiles online. I guess when we first started, I always thought to myself, I have a business partner. His name is Robert, and he's an online kind of guru, and he suggested the online thing. I just said to myself, geez, I would never buy tiles online. So I wasn't sure about it, but we've kind of established ourselves a couple of years ago. We really just put a massive focus on trying to make it a really kind of simple, seamless, and also a physical kind of experience. Hence the name Tile Touch. We really want people to feel and touch our samples before they make that commitment to buy. And I guess, we started a couple of years ago and here we are today.
Like all our guests, we always like to go back in time. So did you grow up here in Sydney?
Yeah, I was born here in Sydney, grew up in Sydney. I've spent my whole life here. I've done a bit of traveling, but always came back here. I love the place. So I don't think I could ever live anywhere else, to be honest.
And when you're a kid at school, like, it's always interesting to know, like, we always thinking you'd end up in sort of sales or marketing or customer service. Like, what were you thinking back at school?
To be honest, I actually had no idea what I was going to do when I was at school. I wasn't really into study or anything like that. I had no idea what I was going to do. When I left school, I joined the army for the first few years, and
So what was that like?
It was really good. I've always just had an interest for different things like that. I was young, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the army, to be honest. So I just kind of looked through the job list, and just being young and immature, I just saw rifleman, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. And I didn't realize it was one of the toughest gigs in terms of combat roles and whatnot. So I chose that and I went into it, and I spent a few years there, which was really good.
So what was that like? Like, rocking up for your initial training? Like, what's that called, that initial sort of intake or that training program?
It was more of a part-time thing. I could always spend time doing, I could work and I could study, I could do things on the side, but I didn't have much happening at the moment at that time. So I was basically spending a lot of time there. So it was kind of like I was full-time, but I was a reservist, and I went into basic training. So it's a requirement for 28 days to go away to a place called Kapuka, which is towards Wagga. And it's basically where everyone
Isn't
who
that near
joins.
Puckapunyal?
Oh, I have no idea, to be honest. I never spent much time over there. It was literally just jumping on a bus and going to Kapuka and coming back. So I know it's near Wagga.
The reason I ask about Puckapunyal is because at school, cadets was compulsory, right? So I was Cadet Kyle, and I'm
Yeah.
not comparing myself to Army Reserves or Army soldiers or anything like that, but it was just fascinating. I remember there was this exercise where the guys said you have to stand still. There was about four of us, and we had to stand in this circle, like it was a little circle on the ground about, I don't know, like a metre and a half radius, enough for four of us to stand comfortably. These soldiers said, all right, guys, within a 4 or 5 metre radius, there's a real life army soldier with all the camouflage gear on and everything else. And they said, you have 45 minutes to pick him out. You can't go touching or prodding or anything like that, but you have to spot where he is. And we all thought, like, being teenagers, we were like, oh, this is going to be easy. Anyway, I kid you not, after 45 minutes, we could not find this soldier. And They gave us another 10 minutes to have a good look. And all of a sudden, this soldier got up out of the ground. He was dead set, like a meter and a half away, lying on the ground, covered in all the camo gear and everything
Camo.
else. We could
Wow.
not find him. For nearly an hour, he was there the whole time, breathing a meter and a half away, like right there in
That's
front of
awesome.
us.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So,
That's cool.
yeah,
Fun.
cool sort of craft and like, amazing lifestyle to get into that early on, I bet.
Yeah, yeah, it was really fun for me. I mean, it was fun, but it was tough because I was actually, I keep saying this, it was never an official title, but I think I was the youngest soldier in Australia at one point because I joined on my 17th birthday. 17 is the minimum age, and and most people that were there were in their kind of 30s, 40s, 50s even. So it was fun, but it was really tough as well, and it was tough for people to pretty much take me seriously, to be honest, because I was just this little kind of 17-year-old, really thin, kind of frail looking 17-year-old trying to be taken seriously. But it was all good. We went through basic training at Kapuka at the basic training kind of facility. And that was really tough. That was, we had to shave our heads. I've got no hair left anyway. You're looking at
You
me. I've
still
got
have the haircut.
yeah, still have the haircut now, but actually that's when I started to lose my hair after that first haircut at Kapuka. But yeah, no phones. We were kind of writing letters back home, and yeah, it was really tough. Like we spent a couple of weeks out in the bush, and it was all new to me. So but I feel like I developed quite a maturity after coming back from there and spending. I'm only 28 now and still pretty young, I guess. And yeah, I felt like I kind of grew quite a bit when I was there and for the few years that I was in the reserves. So yeah.
Yeah, look, it's an amazing sort of grounding, if you like, to start off with. I have friends who their kids have come back from that program and other programs, and like they even the littlest thing, like come back with the straightest back and posture you've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've gone from kind of hungover teenagers and come back as a grown man or a woman, straight back, straight posture,
Spot on.
and yeah,
Yeah.
like just
I
discipline.
really felt I think it was maybe even a month after I came back from Kapuka. Just every time I'd wake up, it was funny. Like I went into that kind of routine of making my bed. I never used to make my bed, by the way, before that, and I just make my bed. When I walk, obviously they expect you to march everywhere, so I would kind of clench my fists and put my arms down, and it was just like really natural for me to just start marching everywhere, and it was funny. My family used to laugh at me and everything, but
And I love that there's a famous speech from, I can't remember his surname, but the US Admiral, in the army over there. And he talks about the importance of making your bed every day and what that means.
mm,
You can easily wake up and say, what's the point of making my bed? I'm just going to be back in here later on tonight.
mm.
Or, make your bed, you make your day.
I really didn't know what to do quite a bit financially and things like that. So I really wanted to just get into the and start making some money to kind of try and support them. So I started applying for jobs. I literally, I don't even remember what I was applying for. I was applying for the most random jobs back then. Um, and I ended up, being approved by the Commonwealth Bank for kind of like a debt collector role. And I just, the Combank being a reputable kind of company, I just jumped onto it. I was like, man, this is awesome. So I took it. I think I spent a few years at Combank in kind of various roles, and felt like where I fit in or where I kind of belonged in terms of the banking industry. So I spent quite a bit of time there. I moved into different roles, and then I was approached by Citi for a customer experience role there, and I kind of moved there, and I spent a couple of years doing that, just presenting to kind of the CEO and higher kind of directors and hyper people in terms of project management, in terms of working out solutions for those specific customer frustration points, everything like that. It's kind of the office politics I didn't really enjoy. The role itself I loved, but there were a lot of politics that came with it, especially in the banking industry. I found a lot of people trying to get to the top. I was just there to do a job, make some money, and go home. And different people had different kind of intentions and
And
whatnot.
you just wanted to sort of serve the customer and do the job.
Exactly. Yeah. I enjoyed my job, and like I'm just that type of person. When I do a job, I take it quite seriously, and I give it my all. Like, and I become quite passionate about it as well. Like I always joke to my mates. I say, even when I used to work at Macca's back when I was 14, and people would tell me, "Oh, I'm going to Hungry Jack's." I'd say, "No, go to Macca's, mate. Like, they're, they're the better restaurant." Like, I was just passionate about I wasn't really too interested or involved with the politics of any place that I kind of moved into. But when it started to kind of happen more and more, maybe this isn't the place for supply. And he said to me, "Look, mate, you're quite well presented, well spoken. Would you consider a job here with us, presenting to architects and designers?" And he told me about tiles, and I honestly couldn't even tell you the difference between a tile and a timber. I had no idea, no clue whatsoever. But I turned it down a couple of times, and he kept kind of approaching me, and he told me, "Why don't you just come in and have a look at the showroom and see what you think?" And I kind of walked in, and the company that I worked for before, Tile Touch, they specialize in boutique kind of high-end designer style tiles as well. So when I walked in, I was like, "Geez, this is not what I thought tiles were. Like, this looks like a bit of an art gallery to me." So kind of struck a chord there, and I was like, "Wow, this looks beautiful." And I guess I assessed my situation, I assessed my life at the time, and I said, I'm not really happy with all the politics involved with the role that I'm in at the moment. So let's just give it a crack. I accepted the role, and yeah, the rest is history.
So what were you thinking? Like take me back to like when you were thinking about creating Tile Touch and bringing it online and getting the company sort of hatched. What were you sort of thinking? Did you take the approach of I'll do this, build it up, and then go, or did you immediately take the plunge to give it your all? How did you do it?
Um, it was a bit of well, at first I made the decision that I wanted to work for myself. The main reason being is I have two kids now, and once I had my kids, or once we had our kids, I just had a bit of a shift of focus. Like I really just wanted to spend more time with them. In my old role, I was kind of leaving in peak hour traffic. It took me up to 2 hours to get to work, and then leave and come home, and I would also be stuck in peak hour traffic, and it'd take up to 2 hours to get home. So I was spending 4 hours on the road just driving to and from, and I just never really saw my kids. And I said to myself at that point, I really want to see what I can do just to kind of get that bit more of flexibility. And I know it, and I realized at that point it would take a lot from me by starting a business. So it would require a lot from me. But still, like, it was on my terms, and if I wanted to start at a certain time, or if I wanted to take a day off to spend time with the kids, I could do that. So I made that decision. Um, but yeah, again, I've always been more of I've quite I've considered myself to be quite ethical in the way that I kind of in my dealings and whatnot in terms of business. So I didn't like the idea of trying to build a business while I was employed by someone. I just didn't feel like it was right or the right thing to do. So I handed in my resignation, to the previous employer that I was working for, and I literally started from scratch. Like, it was the scariest thing in the world, but I knew that was the right thing to do and the right way to go about it. So handed in my resignation, walked away, and I just sat on my computer, and I'm like, here we go.
Let's do
Let's
it.
get it started. Let's do it. But I also kind of realized the risk involved with doing that, no income for a period of time. I actually applied for a couple of different places just to make just some extra cash on the side, and I ended up landing a gig at a bottle shop, which was really random, but it was going to pay the bills for that period of time that I was
Yeah, I love
kind of
it.
working. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
But that's it, isn't it? Like, there's no bullshit or beating around it. Like, this is exactly how one of Australia's best suppliers in tiles online has managed to evolve. It started from humble beginnings, customer service foundation, discipline before that in the army, and you put it all. It's no surprises. You put it all together and package, and what comes out on the other side, premier service that's come from humble beginnings.
Yeah, spot on. So I appreciate that. And yeah, exactly. That was the goal, is to just, do things the right way, work hard, and prepare as much as we can, give it a shot, and give it our all, and just see where it takes us. And we actually started this. Is probably an interesting fact. We started this during the absolute peak of COVID. So some would say that it was bloody terrible timing, but it thankfully worked out really well for us, because we found that during this kind of lockdown period and whatnot, people weren't traveling, they weren't doing anything, so they really just wanted to improve their homes. So people were just looking to renovate, and it was great timing for us, because we just kind of went live during that period, and we started to see that we had plenty of interest of people wanting to kind of see some different products, and do some little upgrades for their kitchens and bathrooms and everything like that. And yeah, it took off from there.
Tiles, they are a touchy feely kind of product. How can I overcome if I want to buy one of your tiles? What's the best way to go about it?
Like I said before, I always thought to myself, tiles online, like I would never do it. So when we sat down, we started kind of thinking to ourselves, how best could we offer out our products to different customers, in terms of seeing the tile, touching the tile, having a feel for it before they kind of make that commitment. We have some great competitors out there as well who do similar things. So of course, we had a look to see what people were doing, and what people were doing well, and what people were doing not so well. And we offer 5 samples for $10, fully refundable on purchase of your total order. So and the reason we do that is just to have that sort of commitment there. um, you know just that little commitment there to say, here we go, we're going to send out those samples to you, and then we'll refund it on purchase once you've made your decision. But what we also found at the time, which some of our competitors, or actually all of our competitors, weren't doing, is we decided we wanted to kind of work with some, or any kind of developers who would create some sort of a visualizing tool or a visualizing app, so that we could show our tiles in their own space. So as opposed to what you see out there at the moment, where you've got this kind of pre-generated graphic room, where you just kind of move different products into it to kind of visualize your space. We thought, how cool would it be if you could just take a photo of the exact space that you're renovating, upload it to a tool, and just kind of pick a product from our website, and see that exact tile as best we can, at least in your space. So we started contacting different developers from overseas, and we ended up finding this really cool developer in Canada, and they basically had a tool already, which was perfect, exactly what we were after. But we just had never seen it done in tiles before, and yeah, it was an expensive venture, but I think it was worthwhile, and it was worth it.
Particularly in the midst of COVID, as you said, people couldn't travel anywhere. Someone experiencing tile touch showrooms offering, but remotely, it's pretty smart move.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And even if we did have, a physical presence or a physical showroom at that time, there's always that question of, will this tile that I'm looking at look good in my space? So this tool we were really excited about it. We said, "Yeah, this is the future of any kind of construction building material. Like, to be able to actually visualize it in your own home is just completely different, next level stuff." So we jumped onto it. We made the investment. We're still kind of trying to photograph. We have over 400 products on our website at the moment, so we're still trying to photograph each tile and upload it to the visualizer app. But at the moment, we've got over 150 tiles that you can visualize in your own space. So like I said, in addition to that, samples, we send them out express post anywhere in Australia for people to visualize, see, and touch before they kind of make that decision to invest in tiles online. And once they do that, we have courier services that service every part of Australia, metro, remote, like it doesn't matter where you are. And we offer flat rate deliveries as well. So, for example, in New South Wales, we have a flat rate delivery of $90, regardless of where you are. and most deliveries cost more than that. But being an online store, we just choose to absorb that difference. So that's how we compete, and that's how we remain competitive.
Yeah, look, I love it, and this is it's something that, as I've said to you before, I'm extremely passionate about. And people are just listening to this for the first time. This is all about being efficient. And so, what's happened over the past 12 months and beyond in the construction industry is we have small independent businesses and suppliers like Charbel and his team at Tile Touch. These guys are being efficient. These are the guys that are making entrepreneurial moves and adapting with the times, and making all the effort. They're spending time and hours and weekends, after hours, you name it, money, ways of being more efficient and independent. We're doing our bit. We're able to set up a delivery, get the product supplied and delivered. But then if it's going to these large retailers through no fault of their own, but they're becoming too inefficient due to scale. So you guys are doing your part. We're putting it in the truck, getting it there on time, but then it sits there, it gets rehandled, it gets picked up, and by the time it gets to the end user, it's cost so much more money. It's been way longer than needed to be. And this is what we're trying to do is to create efficiencies. And like you said, it might cost you a bit more than $90. There might be other jobs where it's around the corner and it's less than $90. But the point is, you've found a way to be able to ship these products, these tiles, to the end user in a competitive and efficient manner.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a couple of years to try and try different things and see what works and what works best. And yeah, we found that, to be the most competitive, we kind of cap our shipping charges at a certain rate, but we try and work with some of the best freight companies in the country. Like, we prefer efficiency over, saving a couple of bucks here and there. Like, if there was a courier company or a freight company who we know delivers quicker, safer, and more efficiently, we would choose them over, somebody who is a couple $100 cheaper. And we know that's the best way to do it. It's the best way for a customer experience, and it also, as a business, it saves us money, because we know that, if these tiles get to the consumer broken and whatnot, like, that's going to cost us a lot of money to rectify. And of course, being an ethical company, we do our best whenever anything goes wrong, or in the unlikely event that something does go wrong, we jump on it. We take it on, and we say, look, we supplied these tiles, they didn't arrive the way that they should have. So we jump onto it and we rectify it straight away. And we realize that, working with good freight companies, with just good people in the industry altogether, that's the most cost effective and efficient and best efficient way and best way for the customer experience as well.
And I say it all the time, like, it's rallying the troops. It's finding like-minded people that share similar
Yep.
passions and direction for the industry and where we want to take it. Like you said, there's plenty of other jobs out there, particularly in current times, where you can go, earn a decent wage and not have to think or stress about these things. But if you're aligned to, achieving these outcomes and solving these problems, and passionate about delivering a really cool product to the end user, that's what it's about at the end of the day, isn't it?
Spot on, 100%. And being myself in previous customer experience roles, as a customer experience manager for Citibank and everything like that was my life for a period of time. And even just as a consumer, you expect a certain type of experience when you're investing quite a bit of money, and that's the most important thing for me in this business is, I want to make sure that every customer, has a good experience. Like, you're investing quite a bit of money buying tiles and things like that, so we don't expect you to just do that, without having a good experience and having confidence and, in the people that you're purchasing from, in terms of the product knowledge, and the delivery and the logistical side of things as well. So
In terms of tile touch, what are some of the emerging trends that you've seen with tiles, whether it's sizes or styles or where they're from? Like, what's happening in the tile industry at the moment?
it's really interesting. We're finding that a lot of, since COVID at least, we're finding that a lot of customers have been requesting materials or products made in Australia, which is awesome to see and awesome to hear. Like,
Bingo.
yeah, and it's great. And we're trying to, make some more tires with some different Australian-made factories
Are
and
there many
boutique.
around?
Not too many in terms of large factories. In terms of, small boutique producers of tiles, there are every now and again you might come across some. So we're trying to get in with them. They may not be the cheapest suppliers, but at the end of the day, it's a product made here. It's a product made in Australia. It's a great product. It's supporting the economy here. It's doing many good things. And yeah, look, whenever we hear about that, we jump. Like, we're a small Australian company. We hope that Australians would support us, and it's the same way. If we find any little kind of producers of any tiles around here in Australia, we'll do it, whatever it takes to support them too.
Yeah, look, I love it, and as we've talked about many times before, that's what this is about. So, and we're doing the exact same thing, supporting and trying to create, an online marketplace, a central hub for where people can go and buy from passionate, independent people like ourselves, who are helping drive change in the industry. And my hope is that you'll see value in other products, and as well as Tile Touch being, the go-to place for everything tiles in Australia, and associated gear that goes along with tiles, like glues and grouts and adhesives and, PPE for tilers and knee pads, you name it. Like that's where, I hope people who are looking around and wanting to shop online, you'll be able to go into, the Build Hatch marketplace and source those products that come from independent people like Charbel and his team. That's what it's about.
Yeah, great, and we hope so too. And yeah, we appreciate people like yourselves as well, and looking to do good things by the Australian people and the Australian kind of consumer market and everything like that. So we're really happy to be on board with Build Hatch, and our products linked to your marketplace and whatnot for your customers. And yeah, we're hoping that good things come in the near future.
Well, you've heard it from the man himself, Charbel from Tile Touch. You've had a very interesting story. I love finding out the stories, and I say this just about every week. It's no surprise when you tell me your background and history and the values of your family, and it's just all been put together and produces a leading go-to tile place. So look, thanks again for coming on to Build Hatch, and really appreciate you telling your story.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Charbel. Well, that was another Build Hatch episode with Charbel from Tile Touch. These guys have a really helpful and knowledgeable team behind them, so I definitely encourage you to reach out to them or check out their products on our Build Hatch marketplace, which, by the way, you can go online right now to buildhatch.com and you can see or buy over 300 of Charbel's products. And if you're worried about wanting a sample to look at first, these guys will send you a sample from as little as $10, and they'll refund that when you put your order in. As usual, if you know a hard worker having a go in the construction space or a building related business, person or product where you love what they are doing or selling, then please do get into contact with us, and we'll be more than happy to tell their story and get behind their goods or service on the Build Hatch marketplace. Our team are busy rolling out independent sellers on buildhatch.com right now as we speak, so stay tuned for some more exciting products and services as they jump on board. Have a great week, and you'll hear me again on the airwaves next week. Thanks for listening to another episode of Build Hatch.
You have experienced a Build Hatch developed production.